When it comes to baseball, few things are quite as important as stats, the numbers. But if you're new to the game, these stats can be a little overwhelming, especially when it comes to the abbreviations of some of these stats. Today, we're going to break down the most common offensive stats used in a box score. And the box score we're going to use today is from Game 7 of the 2025 World Series. And I know you're seeing the Dodger stuff behind me and you're saying, I know exactly why he chose that game. But the reality is, if you're new to baseball, there's a good chance that that was the game that got you interested in the first place. I'm going to make a part 2 of the pitching side, but today we're strictly focusing on offense. And the first stat we're going to start with, AB, or at-bat. At-bat is any time a player comes up into the batter's box and has a result. Whether that's a hit, an out, a strikeout, an error, anytime a player has something happen that either results in a base runner or an out. But you'll notice that I didn't mention walk. I didn't mention sacrifice fly, because you'll notice the at-bat numbers don't make a lot of sense. How can Freddie Freeman have 6 at-bats, but Mookie Betts only have 3, and then all the way down towards the bottom, Kike Hernandez and Miguel Rojas both have 5? That doesn't make any sense. We'll cover that a little bit later. R is run. A run is any time a player touches home plate, resulting in 1 run, or, to explain it more remedially, a point. You don't say point in baseball, but it's essentially what it is. Anytime a player touches home plate, it results in a run, which is indicated here by R. Next to that, we have H, or hit. This is any time a ball is put in play, lands cleanly, hits the ground, and it allows a batter to become a runner by allowing them to advance to at least 1 base. A single, a double, a triple, or a home run are all counted as 1 hit. Next to that, RBI, or run batted in. This is any time a player drives in a run. So a player puts a ball in play and another base runner crosses the plate as a result of their effort. And this doesn't have to be a hit. You can hit a ball to the outfield, have it be caught, and have the runner tag up and score, and still earn an RBI. You can hit a ball into the infield, be thrown out at first, and still have a runner score, resulting in an RBI. So hits are not necessarily connected to runs or RBIs. You notice I just said RBIs. That's something you want to steer clear of as you're getting more familiar with the game. The plural is actually in the R, so runs batted in. You don't want to pluralize RBIs, because then you're basically saying run batted ins. So just try to be mindful of keeping RBI, regardless of how many are scored, as a singular acronym. Our next column is BB, or base on ball, also known as a walk. This is any time a batter has 4 balls pitched to them that are out of the strike zone, resulting in them being given first base. You can also intentionally walk a hitter by simply saying, I don't want to pitch to them, and giving them first base. There's a third option, which is known as hit by pitch, where the ball actually makes contact with the hitter. While that is the same result as a walk, it does not officially count in the stats column as a base on ball, because it was not a 4-ball situation. Our next column is a negative column on the offensive side, and that is K, which stands for strikeout. I know you might be thinking, why isn't it SO? Because SO is already taken for shutout on the pitching side, and they chose K since K is right in the middle of the word strikeout, so K was chosen. K is any time a pitcher gets 3 pitches, either by swinging at them or by not swinging at a ball that is found inside the strike zone. A batter can earn a strike by hitting a foul ball, but they cannot strike out on one. So a batter can hit 2 pitches foul, quickly giving him an 0-2 count, 0 balls and 2 strikes, but he could foul off 20 more and you will not end the at-bat. The only way to earn a strikeout is either by swinging, missing, or taking a pitch that is inside of the strike zone. Our next column is AVG, or average. This is batting average. This is a simple math equation of at-bats versus hits. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was a stat that isn't shown here. It ties in with average and walks, and that is plate appearance. So a plate appearance is similar in that every time a player comes to the plate, it is a plate appearance, but it does not mean it was an at-bat. A good example is Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts has 3 at-bats, which is 3 less than Freddie Freeman, the guy who hit right before him. How is that possible? Well, if you notice the BB, 2 walks. A walk does not count as an at-bat. So a player could come to the plate 5 times, earn 5 walks with 0 at-bats, resulting in an average for the day of 0. Another way that you can earn a plate appearance and not an at-bat is a sacrifice fly. So if you hit a fly ball to the outfield for an out, but it results in a run scoring, or if you hit a ball that results in a player advancing, it is not considered an at-bat because it was a productive out, and you are not penalized for a productive out. So an example of a sacrifice fly would be Teoscar Hernandez. He is 0 for 3, but yet he has an RBI and a walk. That RBI came on a sacrifice fly because it was a productive out. That is how he only has 3 at-bats when, as we mentioned earlier, players at the bottom have 5. He should have 5 at-bats, but one of them resulted in a walk and the other resulted in a sacrifice fly. Those are only considered plate appearances. So a player who has 4 at-bats and 4 hits has an average of 1,000, a perfect day. A player who has 4 at-bats and 2 hits hits 500. They're 2 for 4. 1 for 4, 250. It's just math. You're basically getting a hit 25% of the time, 50%, and so on. If a player comes up 5 times, has 2 at-bats and 3 walks with 1 hit, they are hitting 500 for the day because they have technically only had 1 out and 1 hit, resulting in a 500 average. Now, you might be looking at these averages and saying, I don't understand how Max Muncy, for example, could be 3 for 4, and yet he's not hitting 750. That's 75% of the time. Why is his average 214? Because in a box score, the columns in the middle are specific to that game, but the average and the stat we're about to cover next to it are accumulations for the entire season. In this case, it's the entire postseason, not even just the World Series. Every series so far that each player has participated in gives you your full average. And the last stat, and this is actually the most important stat in terms of identifying whether or not a player is productive at the plate. OPS stands for on base plus slugging. It's actually a combination of 2 separate stats. On base percentage, which is how often a player gets on base, and slugging, which is extra base hits. So we mentioned earlier, H stands for hit. Anything you do counts as a hit. But there is a second extra stat known as extra base hits, which is a double or higher. So the amount of times you're reaching second or farther, plus how many times you're getting on base entirely, such as walks, all add together and give you this number, which is why you can see it's over 1,000, because it's not simply hits versus at bats. This is now a combination of everything you do at the plate. This is the stat that is somewhat recent that really gives you the full understanding of whether or not somebody is having a good series or game or season. You'll notice that Ohtani has an OPS of well over 1,000, mostly because he had several games with multiple home runs, multiple extra base hits. He walks a lot. So adding all those together is going to give you a much higher OPS. Anything over 700 is considered doing really well. You'll notice Andy Pages towards the bottom has an average of 078 and an OPS of 211, which is why he did not start in Game 7 and only came in as a defensive replacement. And we all know what he did when he was given the chance to use his glove, because he wasn't doing it so well with the bat. So this is the basics, but it's enough to give you a good understanding of what happened during a game and how a player did. There's a lot more of this box score that we haven't even scratched the surface of. So if you're looking for a more in-depth deep dive of how to read a box score and a little bit more breakdown of some of the more advanced stats that are used during a game, this might be something you want to take a look at.